A lot of people have this image of Asia, generally speaking, having a very strong street food culture of you just walk from stall to stall and you grab your things. You have it in Thailand, in Vietnam, you have it in China. And then you come to Japan and it's kind of missing.
Yeah, and it's something that people don't realize because, street food equals Asia. But it's not really very common in Japan. So there are two incidences where you will find street food, and this is at a festival or near a shrine where a lot of people walk around, and you'll get things like maybe okonomiyaki, the chocolate bananas, and maybe some beef on a stick. Generally, I don't really enjoy anything I get from these street stalls. I feel they are very much things to set up to capture the tourists.
Yeah, and it's quite overpriced too.
It's overpriced, yeah. I felt sad when I realized I'd reached the day where I was no longer excited about seeing them because I knew they just weren't that great. And then, of course, there's Fukuoka that's known for its yatai culture. And I'm not up to date or like fully knowledgeable about the sort of latest situation because I know that they've been revising sort of licensing rules, and there's been this tension between the sort of licensings and the process to have yatai versus declining numbers and people wanting to attract younger people. And I think there is like a French guy who's set up a place. I haven't been to Fukuoka in a little while, but I will stop by. So they're trying to get younger people to sort of move into this space, but it's a lot of hard work. And if you're dealing with all this red tape and admin, and I feel the red tape and admin makes a lot of things run very smoothly and nicely and uninterrupted for the daily life in Japan, but I think it also hampers creativity and innovation and progress in certain spaces as well. So I'm talking generally beyond the food scene there. Yeah. So I feel like the yatai in Fukuoka is kind of an example of that. You look like you want to add something.
I was curious because I have been to Fukuoka once and I love the yatai, and it's very nice to go there walking around this on an evening in spring or summer or fall. Why is this not more present in Japan? What's preventing this? I mean, yes, administration, but why are they preventing this?
I'm not a qualified person to say that, to talk about that. But I mean, in terms of regulations, health and safety and keeping the streets clean, I mean, Japan was full of yatai in the post-war period. It was estimated that in 1945, there were more than 45,000 sort of black market stalls, the yamiichi. And these grew out of a devastated Tokyo, the firebombing, and food was rationed. People really needed to get their daily supplies. And this is where the sort of these kind of yokocho that still remain, these alleyways sort of originated from. And for example, people love now to go to Golden Gai, Golden Gai, to go drinking in these small spaces. But I mean, originally that was much closer to Shinjuku Station. It was relocated during a huge process of cleaning up the streets in the 1950s. And there were negotiations. One area that I've just been researching this week as well, there were all these yatai around the stations, and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government had to negotiate and relocate some of the vendors somewhere. They couldn't just take away people's livelihoods, even if it was technically black market activity. It was, a process, a process for survival, a survival method. But I don't know, maybe the idea of, I'm just, I don't know what to say, hypothesizing here, but I feel like they were really cleaning up the streets and pushing Japan on its path towards what became the sort of economic miracle.
Like
and
modernization.
I think, and I feel that the cleanup process to kind of was practically, but maybe also on a sort of psychological level, very important. And I don't know whether there is still something like, a kind of a way of thinking about street food that's sort of dirty. And if you think about how not everything, but things in daily life in Japan, yeah, there's admin, red tape, frustrations, but they try to get things running as sort of as smoothly as possible to have a nice experience, right from the fact that you can rely on the trains to be on time to within 10 seconds, to it's raining, you bought something from a store. Yes, they put a little cover on it. Yes, that's not environmentally friendly, but wow, the rain is not going in the bag. Just like the little micro details of making it sort of a pleasant experience. And I feel like yatai potentially fall outside the mold, or they're thought of as more hassle. And maybe there's just not enough support. Then they have to get space. I know that the regulations, for example, for the food trucks, are actually quite prohibitive. So of course there's no on-street parking, which is great in terms of visibility and livable streets and making Tokyo Tokyo a very livable city. It's actually fantastic. It's got great advantages. But the food trucks can't just roll up and park somewhere. They need permission from each landowner to be able to sort of park and use a parking space. And then the regulations work at the prefectural level. And so if they were to then go and want to sell, toasted sandwiches at a location in Chiba, they need a whole separate permission from the sort of Chiba prefecture as well. And I guess in terms of the bureaucracy, it's just not such a priority, right? But it's also not such a priority to like the demand. We have seen more and more, I think, food trucks pop up recently. So I'm optimistic. I'd love to see more.